Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Dear Diary, the show where I talk about my insecurities and then pawn them off on to you guys because you guys see titles that say things such as I'm way too nice to people, and then see yourselves in those titles and click on the videos and then hear me talk about that topic. Today we're going to be talking about the fact that I'm way too nice to people. I don't mean this in like I'm just such a great guy, I'm just amazing and everyone wants to be my friend because I'm just so freaking nice all the time. I mean it in like it's negatively affecting me, and it has been for years. And today I'm going to be discussing that. I'm going to be discussing where I think it comes from and why it's a problem and how I think I can fix it. These podcast episodes are actually helping me because so far I've just been going through things I want to improve about myself and really having to look at it critically for the first time and looking at a problem that I don't, so it's a trait I have, and being like, okay, why do I have it? Why don't I like it? And how do I fix it? Usually I'm like, oh, I hate that I'm like this, and I move on. But since I'm making like a whole hour-long podcast, I have to like dissect it myself for the first time and then talk through it to you guys. So it's kind of like a good thing for me. I think I'm improving because I'm saying these things out loud and I'm writing them down when I'm like researching and stuff. So without further ado, I'm way too nice to people. And this has caused me to start slowly resenting people in my life. I've lost a lot of meaningful relationships with people because I slowly resent them. Like over time it just builds up and up and up and up because I don't know how to say no to people. I just start like hating when they ask me for anything because I've built up this precedent to where it's so difficult to say no to that person. And when I don't want to do something, I do it anyway. And they don't even know what's happening. But I'm like, oh my God, this person, like people just start driving me crazy until I cut them out of my life. And that's like such a bad thing because they didn't really do anything, you know? They just came to expect what I made them expect. And it just makes you generally kind of miserable when you're always doing things for people that you don't really want to be doing. I think this tendency people have of being too nice to people comes from their early lives. I think for me it started, probably the earliest it started was when I became like a sentient human being at like age 4, 5, 6, right? And I like logged into the universe for the first time, and I found I had this older sister. My older sister, she's like a genius, this girl. She's so smart. She's like the smartest person I know. Whenever I want to know a random fact about the world, I can always count on her to know it. I'll be like, who is insert random niche person from like the 1850s? And she'll be like, oh, he invented this, and this. He was a French philosopher, and blah, 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 blah. Like, she'll just have all this stuff in the back of her mind. She's like Hermione Granger from Harry Potter. Like, straight up. My older sister is so smart. And she was also very smart when we were very, very young. She read books 24/7. She was like the biggest reader ever. And it bugged me. It made me so mad because every time I like had a fun factoid I learned, I was like 5 years old, got back from kindergarten, and I'm like, Mama, did you know that if you cut off a starfish's one of the fingers on a starfish, it can grow it back? And then my sister would come in, actually, blah, 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 blah. And she would just like be correcting me or like adding to my thing and like stealing my thunder, you know? So I developed this thing where I was like, I wanted validation from everyone. I wanted validation from my parents. I wanted them to see like, hey, I'm smart too. It's not just her. Look at me. I'm smart too. I also wanted validation from her. I wanted her to think I was smart because I thought she was smart. I think, like, actually, I've been thinking about this all day when preparing to record this. And I think it all started with my older sister being a freaking genius. And she kind of is to this day. She went to the University of Michigan, like top 25 university in the world. And now she's at Brown, which is like an Ivy League. She's smart. So my point was proven as we got older. She's kind of awesome. I love my sister. But that's where it started. I think I've had like one really close friendship where we were very nice to each other. Like they were like me, where they're too nice to people, and they also wanted this like validation from friends and family and blah 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 blah. And it turned into this thing where we both slowly resented each other and grew apart because we would, without even realize it, start taking advantage of each other. Because that's what happens when you're too nice to people. People start taking advantage of you. They think you're like a doormat. You can walk all over, to be walked all over. To doormat to be walked all over. They think you are like a doormat to be walked all. I don't know why that was so difficult for me to say. And me and that person are not friends anymore because it just doesn't work. And when two people are too nice, it destroys it like twice as fast. On the other hand, I've found I have the most fulfilling friendships with people who are like the polar opposite of me. People who are just like such assholes to everybody. And like their sense of humor is just making fun of people. And they're like so mean. Like me, I can't do that. I cannot do that. But when I'm with someone who's like that, I can bounce that energy back at them. You know, if they're like, oh, shut up, you dumbass, blah, 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 blah. Like, that's just how they talk to people. Like my friend Muhammad. This dude is, like, so mean. Like, his sense of humor is just, like, being an asshole. And most people can't deal with it because it's just so annoying. People get on his ass about it. But with me and him, it, like, works because when I'm around him, it's the only time I don't feel like I need to be nice because he's such a jerk to everyone. I'm like, I can be a jerk to this guy and not feel bad about it. So I like make friends with meaner people with like harsher communication styles. People who are more blunt. That's the word. Blunt. I like meeting people who are blunt because then I can be blunter, which is like I'm never blunt. I'm never straight up with people. I'm so nice all the time, even when I don't want to be. I will say yes to anything just to not make you feel bad that you invited me and I didn't come. So I had this super smart sister, right? In my journal I wrote, it usually starts when you have something to prove. I wanted to prove I was smart too. It starts in childhood and your upbringing and having this fear of conflict or rejection. I mentioned this in the last episode, but I moved around a lot when I was younger. I went to 8 or 9 different schools before I graduated high school. And especially in elementary school, I went to 4 different elementary schools before I was done with 5th grade. No, I went to 4 different elementary schools before 3rd grade. So like when I was a very young child, I developed in this like state of my life where I needed to meet people very often. And I needed to make new friends and new connections and relationships very often. And so what happens when you're put in that situation so often, when you're developing your communication skills and like learning to talk to people, is you're scared that these people won't like you. You know, everywhere you go, it's somewhere new, and you're just like, okay, gotta do this again. And you're gonna do anything to make these people your friends. This is how I think it happened with me. I feel like people have similar stories, you know, you move around a lot, that's pretty common. So I had this fear of being rejected by these people. I get to a new school, I'm in 2nd grade, and I'm like, oh, they look fun to hang out with. I want to go hang out with them. I don't want to get rejected. I'll just be super nice to them. Like, that's what you do, you know? You're like a kid, and that's all you see on your PBS Kids shows. People being nice to each other. It's like a wholesome show. So you go and translate that into the real world. So for me, I think there were 3 things total. 3 things that made me very nice growing up. 1, my older sister being so smart and I wanted to be like her. Number 2, moving around a lot. I went to so many different schools and I had to make so many different friends, and I just wanted to be nice to everyone so everyone would be nice to me. Makes sense. And the 3rd one, I think, is like a societal, cultural reason, because I'm Arab. And there's like certain cultural things where you don't tell people when something is wrong. Like in Arabic, when you say like, كيف حالك, how are you? As like an Arab Muslim, right? You always respond with Alhamdulillah. And you're taught when you're a kid to always say Alhamdulillah, which is like praise be to God. Because you don't necessarily say good or bad, but you just say like, thank God. Like I'm alive, everything is fine. You know, I'm able to say these words. It's like a way of showing gratitude. So you don't really ever say like, you know, today was a tough day, blah, 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 blah. So you never have, like, I never really had that practice of like opening up to anyone. You don't have the opportunity to burden anyone with what you're going through and talking about something, which like I probably could have, but I just never thought about it, you know? And my parents weren't like coming around like, what's the worst thing that happened to you today? Like, because I'm a third grader. I'm not really going through anything all that awful. If I really needed to, I could talk to them, but I never really needed to. So what that turns into, where the societal, cultural upbringing, where you never really talk about how you're feeling. You end up saying yes when you don't want to. You refrain from talking about your feelings, and I did that for years and years and years until I started this, like, my YouTube channel in 2022, 3 years ago. That's when I was finally like, oh wow, I have this outlet. I'm talking to a camera about my feelings. What the heck? You reach this point where when you don't say yes, when you finally say no about even the smallest thing, about like, you want to come to the grocery store with me so I have some company? And you're like, I kind of wanted to like stay here and do this or this or this. You reach this point where you're like, you feel so much guilt just for saying no to something so small. Like, you're allowed to have your own space and time. Like, if your friend in your dorm room wants you to go to the store with them, and you know it'll take an hour and a half, and you don't really want to go, but you say yes anyway, that's just like, it's like a sign that you're too nice, I think. Only if you're doing it all the time. You know, obviously it's okay to make sacrifices for people you love, but if you never really take time to yourself, then I think it's a problem. It's kind of a problem for me. It hasn't been as big a problem since I moved to Vienna, because I don't know anyone really yet. I know a few people, but we're not very close yet. So things like that don't really happen yet. But by the end of the 2 years here, I'll probably have these relationships with people where things are more difficult. So the way this becomes a problem in your relationships is setting this precedent off the bat when you meet people. You know, like, first impressions are everything, right? Everyone's heard that. When you meet someone and you start like getting closer to them, closer and closer, and then every time they want you to go to the store with them, or like, hey, can you grab this for me from that room, or like, you know, like, anytime they ask for a favor and you're there every single time, not only do you like slowly add to it to the point where they begin to expect it, but people, this is like the thing that made me, kind of blew my mind. I was thinking about this today, like thinking about what I should talk about. People subconsciously value you less. Your friendship becomes less important. Everything about you, they respect you less, all this stuff, but it's not about respect. I don't want to talk about respect. Sound like Andrew Tate, you are a high value man and you need to like be respected by those around. No, it's not about that. It's like they value you less when you are always available and you're always there. You'll do anything for them. They're like, oh, that's like it's like having a servant in a way. Like, obviously not to that extent, but you know what I'm saying? People value you and who you are a lot less because you're always there. There's no time where they're like, man, I wish I had him and he's not here right now. Do you think people are going to value me more? My friends in Texas are going to value me more because I've been gone for 2 years, and then when I come back, they'll be like, Issa, we missed you so much. You're so awesome. You're my best friend in the whole world. What if I get back to Texas and then just like hella girls that confess their love to me? I get back, every girl I've ever spoken to in my entire life just texts me, I heard you're back in town. I just wanted to say, these last 2 years have been so hard. Let's get married. That's what they're going to say. That's what's going to happen. So, for example, you're in a situation where you're meeting someone new, and you're the kind of person where you're too nice to people, and you say yes to everything. But you want to make sure, like, you want to try to not, right? You want to try to not do that. Like me, right now. I'm in a situation where I'm meeting new people, and I met this guy. This guy's awesome. He goes to my school. Super nice guy. I met him at the Welcome Week events. Super, super fun guy to be around. Like, I genuinely really like his company. One day, we had hung out for like the past 3 days, and it was like the fourth day, and I was so exhausted, and he asked me if I wanted to go to this like hiking event, right? Like with the school, there was like a thing where they went and hiked. And I was like, I don't really want to go hiking tomorrow in my head. And I told him that I would. I was like, sure, yeah, let's go. Even though the next day I wanted to just like relax. I wanted to just chill. I didn't want to go on a hike. I wanted to reset and like edit some videos and like do some stuff, get some stuff done. But I said, yeah. The next day I woke up and I was like, why did I say yes to that? I don't want to go do that today. And I sat there and I thought about it, and I thought about it for like the entire morning. It was like in the afternoon, evening of the event, but I sat and I was thinking, I was like, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. And it got to like noon, like midday, and I was like, that's it. I'm going to tell him, I'm going to flake. But I'm just going to be straight up. I'm not going to come up with an excuse. And I just told him straight up, like, hey man, texted him, hey man, sorry. I know I said I'd go with you to the hike, but I'm actually just really tired today, and I want to get some work done at home. I've got a lot going on, and I'm not going to be able to make it. I did that, and that shit blew my mind when I did it. I was like, oh my God, I just did that. Oh my God. And like, I just met this guy. So, and he was super cool about it. He was like, yeah, no problem, blah, 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 that's cool. And I saw him like yesterday. It was fine. Relationship is fine. No one left me. Nobody, you have this like unrealistic like feeling like everyone's gonna hate you if you start to like be more selfish about your time. But it's not selfish. It's self-respect, you know? When you don't want to do something and you don't do it, it's just respecting yourself. It's not being selfish. So I think what you need to do, right? What needs to happen as a people pleaser, right? Because I'm a chronic people pleaser. That's my problem. You need to slowly add in moments where you say no, and you need to like keep score for yourself. You need to like keep score of how many times you said yes to a situation you didn't really want to do. Even if you kind of wanted to do it, you should write it down. You should actually keep a tally in your notes app, in a journal, in whatever, and be like, there was this event, and I said yes, even though I wasn't sure if I wanted to say yes. Write it down. And set yourself like a goal. Set yourself a goal, like every time you say no to something. You know, every time you decide not to people please for your own sanity, right? Because otherwise you're just going to go down this route for your entire life, and you are going to be kind of miserable. And the relationships you build, you're going to slowly resent everyone in your life. And it's kind of sad. And just practice just saying no in low stakes situations where it does not really matter. High stakes situations, if it's actually a big deal to someone, and you saying no to like taking them to the hospital because their mom is dying, I don't know, like some crazy situation where if you say no, you're actually a bad friend. Like you can do whatever you want. People please all you want in those situations. That's probably the best course of action. Please take your friend to the hospital. But in random situations where it does not matter, which is like 99.9% of the situations where you're faced with this dilemma in your head, it's not really an actual dilemma. It's just a fallacy that you came up with. Saying no is not going to butterfly effect and change the world for the worse. You know, you're allowed to do it, and it's just hard to realize that. And I think it took me recording this and writing a whole page about saying no in my journal to like understand that. So maybe start journaling. Yeah, journaling's pretty helpful. I'd say journal whenever you do something you don't want to do. Whenever you feel like you did something just to try to be nice, to people please. Journal every time you regret saying yes, and talk about what the situation was, why you did it, why you said yes, and how you feel now that you said yes. And you can also backtrack. If you say yes in the moment, you're allowed to be like, hey, actually, I can't. I don't want to. You're allowed to do that. That is super normal. That's super human. You don't have to like have your mind made up the second you do it. Because sometimes in the moment, like me with my friend in the hike, you just say yes. You're like, okay, sure, that sounds fun. I like spending time with you right now. I would like to spend some more time with you. You say yes, and it's not even like about people pleasing. And then you realize, like, I kind of don't want to do that. That's fine too. I feel like a therapist on this show. I feel like a freaking life advice giver, and I'm like, why am I giving you life advice? I don't know what I'm doing either. But that's the thing. Like, none of us really know what's going on. That's what I've realized. Nobody really has any clue what they're doing. And set a goal every week of no's. Just set a goal. Set, like, okay, this week I'm going to say no 3 times to things I don't want to do. Or maybe even just to practice, say no to things you do want to do, just to learn some self-control. Because a lot of times you just want to do everything. You genuinely want to please every person you know. Like, for me, a lot of times I really want to, because I'm like a very impulsive, like, optimistic person. Like, one of my friends could be like, hey, let's go bowling on Monday night. And I'm like, oh, dude, let's do it. That sounds so fun. But Monday night's like 5 days away. And then on like a few days later, a couple days before Monday, or maybe Sunday night, I'm like the day before Monday night, someone's like, oh, let's go do this tomorrow night. And I forget I had plans to go bowling with this guy. And then I just end up like that's the only time I have to like make a decision. Like, oh, I'm not gonna go with this person, and I'm gonna tell them that, and I have to tell them. But you should just be saying no to more things. You should say no to more things. Okay, moral of the story: I've decided say no to more things. It doesn't matter if you want to go or not. Just like flip a coin, Ba-ding! Heads. Sorry, man, can't go. Like, you should. Like, I feel like that's actually a method, because you learn self-control. People respect you more unless you do the coin flip in front of them. Then they'll be like, why is this guy just making all his life decisions on a coin flip? But low-key, you could coin flip, and like, you'd probably have the same outcome in your life. And you'd be less of a people pleaser. You'd be more of like a coin flipping demon. Imagine making all your decisions on a coin flip. I actually do that a lot. You'd be surprised how often I do that. How often I ask Siri to flip a coin. Every time I watch a movie, I have a big movie list on my notes app. It is like 80 movies long currently, and there's been times where it was 90 and like 75, but it always stays around 80. And whenever I want to watch a movie, I ask Siri to pick a number 1 through however many movies are on my list. So I have 79 movies, pick a number 1 through 79. And then I watch a movie, 1 through 79, I watch a movie. And then I make my decision that way. And it's kind of like a cheat code, because I have this list of movies that I've literally had for years, and I just keep adding new ones, and then I have all these old ones that have been on there. And I don't really want to go in the order I put them on the list, because some of those movies I put on there like 4 years ago, and I'm just not in the mood to watch a movie I cared about 4 years ago. I want to watch like a new thing that I cared about more recently, or was recommended more recently. So I end up just putting off a lot of these movies. And I don't have the willpower to be like, that's it. No, I'm watching the first movie I ever put on this list. Because I just don't want to. So I ask Siri, and I have chance take over, and I'm like, pick a number 1 through 79. 56? Bet. I'm watching this movie. I don't remember why we ended up on that topic, but it was kind of fun to talk about. Maybe I should just let these side tangents go. I feel like I try to cut them short and keep the video like succinct and to the point, but like, bro, you guys are here for a podcast, man. We're here. Whenever I listen to a podcast, they go on side tangents all the time. Sorry, I'm kind of learning how to do this thing, and I'm like very ADHD. If you want to stop being a people pleaser, if you want to learn to say no, here are the steps you should take. Maybe you do all of them, maybe you do just one. Number 1, that I think is the best, is keep score of how many times you say yes and no throughout the week, and have a goal of how many no's you do, like how many no's you say. Like, I have a goal of 4 times I'm going to tell people no, like whether big or small, whether it's a whole hangout, or if it's like, you want to sit over there, or do you want to sit over there? Do you want to sit in the shade, or do you want to go sit in the sun? And you're like sweating and you want to sit in the shade, and then you go, I don't really care, whatever you want. I do that literally all the time. It's like tiny, minuscule decisions, but I'm like ultimately uncomfortable for the next 30 minutes because I just didn't want to like say the wrong thing in case this person had a preference and then I ruined it. They asked me. I have the right to tell them where I want to sit, you know? I did that like 2 days ago. I was eating with my friends like on campus, and my friend, same friend who asked about the hike, he was like, "You want to sit in the sun or the shade?" And I was kind of hot, and I did not really want to sit in the sun. And my eyes are very sensitive to light because I got like eye surgery a few years ago. So in the sun, when I don't have sunglasses on, it's like super hard to like even open my eyes. I'm like squinting. So I was like, let's go in the shade. My eyes are sensitive to light. I pulled the medical card on them, and we sat in the shade. Nobody complained. Nobody was like, "Dang it, I really freaking wanting to sit in the sun. I hate you, Issa." Nobody said that. I just got to sit in the shade and enjoy my lunch 99% more. And then finally, journal. So keep score, have a goal of no's, and journal every time you accidentally say yes. You know, whenever you do something you don't want to do, just trying to make everyone happy. And just try to be what's the word? Try to notice these things during your day-to-day life, like in the middle of it. Like realize like, oh, he asked if I want to sit in the shade or the sun. And I told him the truth. Like I told him what I actually wanted instead of telling him like, I don't mind anything you want, you know? You don't have to give people the reverse card. No, you pick. You don't have to do that. Someone asks where you want to go eat and you have a preference, tell them, you know? You don't need to be super polite all the time. Man, I'm getting so heated right now. I'm just like, I've lived so much of my life just like unhappy with things I'm doing because I didn't want to tell people. Oh my God. All right. So that's that. Now, everybody's favorite part of the episode. I'm opening my laptop up and we're going to give you guys advice on whatever you're going through right now. There were some funny ones today, I think. I was looking through them for a little bit earlier. Let me pull it up. All right. Okay. Last week I told you guys, do not ask me romance questions about your relationships and stuff. I'm probably going to give you bad advice, but I'll do my best if you ask. And then you guys asked me some more. But here's one that was funny that I got. Kind of lame, but do you believe in the spark romantically? I've seen so many people say you should go for the slow burn kind of love. The spark connection thing is BS, but is it really? Or are soulmates real, and when I meet the right person, I'll feel that instant connection? I just don't know if I'm chasing something that doesn't exist. Maybe I should just lower my standards and watch less rom-coms. You should probably watch less rom-coms. It's just kind of funny. I don't think it's, like, that deep, you know? You're gonna meet somebody, and it doesn't really matter if it's, like, instant or if it takes some time, you know? Like, at the end of the day. I feel like the spark happens to people. Like you meet someone and you're like, whoa, I really like this person. This person is really cool. But you kind of need to like slow it down, and like it becomes like this like toxic, weird, lusty thing. Otherwise, you need to like slow it down and be like, what do I really want here? Is this person like logically gonna be good for me in the long run? How is this going? I think slow burn's the move. Yeah. That's my final answer. I think it works better then. You can have the spark and then turn it into a slow burn. That's the move, in my opinion. Hi, Issa. I really enjoy the poetry you share. I think each poem flows really well, and they are all very personal to who you are, but also are very relatable at the same time. I was hoping you could give some advice on how I could start writing poems as well as you. I've never written any outside of what was required in high school a few years ago. Do you have any tips or suggestions for a beginner? Yeah, you just have to write. You have to try. Like 99% of the time when someone asks me for advice on making anything creative, they're like, hey, I wanted some advice to do something as good as you. But I've never even tried. I haven't tried yet. And I'm like, oh, then you're not going to be as good as someone who's done it for 3 years. You know, like you need to just like be really bad at something before you're good at it. Like, I don't know. Like I was writing poems for like years and years just on my own. And I never posted them anywhere. Actually, no, I had an anonymous poetry account like way back in the day. And then I accidentally logged onto it. It was like an old TikTok account. And I was like, oh my God, this is so corny. And I just privated all the videos. But they still exist. They're just private. But I was writing poems and like not connected to me at all, like way back in the day. And that was like, I was like 17. I was doing that. So you just have to try. You got to make an effort, and you're gonna get better over time. Like with anything, you don't like go up to a. Let me think. Let me think of an analogy here. You don't go up to like a. Do people go up to like Michael Phelps and they're like, "Hey, how do I swim as fast as you? Tell me right now." No, it's like a training thing. You have to train your body to do it. You have to train your brain to think in the way to write something or make something. You know, like it's all repetition. Like with anything in life, you have to work at it. And I don't know. I think just start writing, and you don't need to share it with anyone. You can just start writing, and it's gonna be pretty bad at first, probably. It'll be kind of corny, because poetry usually is pretty corny. That's kind of like the point, is like you're exposing embarrassing feelings, but eventually you'll find like the tone that you like, where you don't sound corny. And like I feel like I finally found that, and then I started posting it, and people were like, "Oh, this isn't corny. I kind of like this," and. But some people still think it's corny. I get comments all the time like, bruh, bro thinks he's something, like just mean comments, you know? And that's fine, you know? Like it's just takes reps. You got it. Right now what's going on is I can't become a member of your Patreon because I don't work, and in Brazil that's like 32 reais. Is that the currency in Brazil? So I'll be waiting for YouTube Minecraft videos and one more week for your podcasts. I'm so sorry. My advice to you on that is I don't know, we need people to like join the Patreon and just start clipping the entire thing out and putting it on YouTube for free and TikTok. Oh, that's funny. The Minecraft videos aren't coming out on YouTube though. So this person didn't even ask a question. They didn't even ask for advice. They just said, if you had your memory erased, would you still be the same person or would you be different? And I just thought it was an interesting thought. What's the word for this? Interesting thing to think about. I don't know. You would be a completely different person, is my opinion, because you have like your nature and nurture, but your nurture is just as much of who you are as your nature. So sure, maybe you still have the same nature, but if you have no memories, you are built off of all of the experiences you had, and if you just have your mind wiped, you'd be a completely different person, because none of those things that built the foundation of who you are exist anymore, and you just have to start fresh. You could develop into a completely different person. I think that'd be so interesting if we somehow one day have like the technology to wipe people's memories. What if for some reason, there's probably some medical crazy reason where we'd need to wipe someone's memories, like they've gone through some crazy trauma and they'd rather have it completely wiped and keep living with the psychological effects. It'd be so cool to like study that and see how people develop, and if they ask their relatives like, have they developed into the same kind of person, or are they like completely different, you know? I think that'd be so interesting, and I know that's not advice. I thought it'd be fun to think about. This person says, similar to you, I am planning on doing a master's across the ocean. I did my bachelor's away from home, 3-hour drive, but I couldn't go home often, and I've done an exchange semester in Canada. I'm from Europe. I want to study far from home, like Spider-Man. Like Spider-Man Far From Home, sorry. But I also want to spend time with my grandparents because they're not getting any younger. Going abroad would mean I'd only see them once a year because I wouldn't have the chance to go home more often. What if I go and my master's sucks? What if something happens to my grandpa? Should I just settle with a safe option in my country and spend years thinking about the what if I had gone? I don't know what I'll regret more, dude. How did you know moving to Vienna was the right choice? How did you have the guts to do it? Well, I didn't and don't. And you're never really going to know what the right choice is, because even if you do it, like, you can't tell the future. You're not Doctor Strange. You can't, like, I have looked into the millions of possibilities and there's only one way we defeat Thanos. Like, you can't really do that. You know, you just have to go with what you feel is the best bet. If you would rather wait some time before making a big decision like that and leaving home because of your grandparents, that's, like, totally valid. You know, like, they're not going to be around forever, you know? So, and there's no timeline to this like life thing. And you already did your bachelor's, right? So there's, especially for your master's, like it's not, you don't have to do your master's right now. Master's is like something you can totally do when you're older, and you could just get a job now and spend time with your grandparents before they're gone. And then who knows, down the road, when they're gone, like, I don't want to sound morbid, but eventually they won't be in your life anymore. And it's going to be hard, but at least you'll know you spent that time with them. And then you can go do your master's wherever without feeling any kind of guilt, you know? So maybe that's the best choice for you. But even if you go now, like, there's no one that can tell you that's the wrong choice. You just got to figure it out, man. You got to go with your gut. That's what I did. I was like, I low-key need to go to Vienna. And then I just kind of did. Thank you guys so much for listening to this week's episode. Next week's episode just went up on Patreon the same time that this episode came up on YouTube. So if you're interested in that, it's $5 a month. You get all kinds of bonus content, Minecraft Let's Plays that guy from Brazil said he wanted to watch. I'm sorry, guy from Brazil. And right now we're doing a free trial thing for a week. So even if you don't know if you want to do it, you want to test the waters, see what the content's like on there. There's already a bunch of videos up on the Patreon. You could get the free trial. Check it out and read all the perks that are with it, that come with it. Subscribe to my YouTube channel, and in the description of this podcast you will find the advice column Google form so you can ask for advice next week. Thank you for watching. I love you. Good night. Yeah, you've got a friend in me.